This is 2024, and it's about time to vote for a new president. I'm making this video specifically for the Democrats to get a point across. And normally, I would vote for you, and I want to vote for you. But the truth is, I'm not going to vote at all unless somebody from the Democratic Party gets off their ass, contacts me, and helps me. I've been through a lot over the years, and I keep hearing from the Democratic Party about how they know everything, how they know about people and health care, and they've talked to them, and they know this, and they know that, and how they want to reform the Department of Justice and FBI, and they know what's going on. I'm sorry, but I think it's bullshit. I probably upset a lot of people, and I just said that. But let me tell you about something. I'm going to tell you about the Department of Justice. I'm going to tell you about health care. And I'm going to tell you about something else. In 2000, May of 2000, I was witness to a 9/11 pre-event. At the 9/11 pre-event, there was a double agent. Two future terrorists had just got back from flight school in Florida, and one FBI agent. And there was a disagreement between the double agent and the FBI. And I just had to be at the wrong place at the right time. And I listened to everything that was said. I got to hear about future plans. I got to hear about 9/11. Yeah, I heard about it before it even happened, a year and a half before the attacks even happened. And I was ordered to destroy all this evidence, a mound of it, that proved who was involved, the groups within the government. And when I didn't do that, I was threatened with treason. I came home from my job. I was blacklisted. I was threatened by the government. And they did everything they could to hurt me. And then when they got all done with me, and I can finally have contact with people, I let Mr. Marcel Elliott Zuckerberg, you know him as Mark Zuckerberg, stay at my home. He just bought a school bus. Yeah, I said that. He bought a school bus. He left Harvard, he came to Iowa to go to Iowa State and take some classes, and I let him stay at my home because he was looking for parts for that bus. And while he was here, he learned of a business plan I was working on that would help create funding to find a cure for neuromuscular diseases and help the poor that can't afford health care through free clinics and shelters. And it was bring the world closer for my paralyzed friend that was real young, just starting college. But Mark ripped me off. And I was in contact with the government the entire time, but they wouldn't go after Mark for the theft. And then Mark created this bogus situation, this bogus history, okay? He went back to Harvard with my intellectual work in his hand, saying, hey, look, somebody gave me the intellectual plans for $1 billion internet site and more. And him and his friends fought over it, and I couldn't do a damn thing. And the government wouldn't help me, okay? So I've been fighting that since 2003, but the 9/11 pre-event was in 2000, okay? So I got stuck on this government-funded health care, okay? Because I'm penniless and broke, and I got health problems, too, besides my friend that's paralyzed, okay? Now you need to take notice of this, because you're talking about health care, okay? And the Democrats are making a lot of mistakes. I think Obama had it right. Obama was talking about the bottom, you know, the poor, the needy, right? The disabled, okay? Creating Obamacare, okay? That was pretty smart because if you go to a hospital, the hospital overcharges, right? They charge as much as they possibly can, and before the week is done, They found out what you own and they put a lien on it, right? Okay? So Obama came up with a smart idea. But then the Republicans ruined it, right? They took that health care and they stripped it, okay? Now, you had to either take the care, let me reword this, okay? You had to pay to have insurance, and if you didn't, insurance would be provided for you, limited care, okay? Now, depending on which side is looking at it, is depending on which way and how it's described, okay? So now, here in the state of Iowa, what did we call it? Oh, the Iowa Wellness Plan, okay? So I was forced on the Iowa Wellness Plan because I was poor. After everything had happened to me, with Mark ripping me off and, you know, the government blacklisting me and, you know, my health problems, I was forced on it, okay? Now, if they force you on it, they shouldn't force on you a collection at the end because they forced the care on you, okay? Now, when Obamacare took over, we were allowed to go to different doctors than you would have if you were on something where you just got a waiver to go to the state-funded hospital, okay? I probably got this, you know, in the wrong order, but it all makes sense in the end. Okay. So, let's go back, all right? Now, when I first got, let's go back. Now, after 2000, I got really sick, okay? And I had a work injury, and I started going to the University of Iowa. And then the doctor said, oh, well, you got to go see these other doctors, okay? So I got on that government-funded health care, okay? Now, you talk about health care, you need to talk about that. And here's why, okay? You go to that government-funded health care, and here's how it worked. So I go to a general doctor, and a general doctor says, well, you need Botox. I said, well, why do I need Botox? Well, you need it for muscle cramps, and you need it for contractions because your neck's, you know, it's at a crook, you know. You need a Botox. Well, I don't think I want Botox. Well, now you have to have Botox. I'm the one that's prescribing it for you. No, I don't want Botox. And then the doctor says, well, if you go against me and you don't take that Botox, well, then you can't come here and get your other care that you need. Did you hear that? Right? So then you give in, you do the Botox, okay? Then the doctor prescribes you all these pills, okay? And they want you to get the pills through that state-funded hospital. And you start taking these pills that the doctor says you need, and you start feeling all weird, right? And you're like, geez, I never felt so bad in all my life, right? And you tell the doctor about it, the doctor says, oh, well, you got to keep taking those pills, and you need a Botox shot again. And you tell the doctor, well, I don't want a Botox shot, it made me sick. Oh, now you need that Botox shot, you just got to do it one more time. Start listening here, because this is going to make sense. So you get the Botox shot again, and you get sick, and then eventually it wears off. But when you get the shot, you're all stiff, and it feels like your shoulders weigh a ton, and you can't really move, right? Okay. Well, then the doctor sends you to other clinics, because, you know, there's other clinics within that hospital. So they send me to the vestibular clinic, the ear, nose, and throat, otolaryngology, okay? That's supposed to be third in the nation. But what they do is they're using people as cash cows. So what they do is they funnel the poor in, the non-paying ones getting the money from the state, right, on certain days. And then when you go there, the waiting room is just full of people and the lineup goes all the way out in the hall. And they check you in one at a time, and you go and you see a registered practitioner nurse, and then they send you out. And you say, well, I thought I was here to see the doctor. Oh, well, you did. And then they hand you a sheet of paper and it shows you that what the diagnosis was that they gave you for the day, and you've seen Dr. Gantz, the head of the otolaryngology department. Well, wait a minute, but you didn't see him, right? Then they start prescribing unneeded tests. The dizzy chair, that's where they strap you in it, and they put you in a tube and tape your eyes open and spin you around until you get sick, right? For me, they did that. They did the caloric test where they put freezing water at the temp where it almost freezes and squirt it in my ear to induce vertigo and put goggles on me, right? But it wouldn't stop. The vertigo wouldn't stop, and eventually I passed out. And then they said, well, we can't figure out why that is. We got to keep doing it again and again and again. So they kept on ordering the tests again and again and again. And then I went from dizzy to having vertigo spells like tornado-like episodes, and I'm falling to the ground screaming for help. And I couldn't figure out why. And I said to them when I first got there, well, I had tubes in my ears. They said, no, you don't have tubes in your ears. I said, well, then I must have a hole from the tubes. I can't put water in my ear. Oh, no, you don't have no hole in your ear. You know what they did? They pushed the tube inside my eardrum. They did a hearing test. And the test results were up and down. Like it didn't even make any sense. They had me do the chip table. And while I was there, with a college student that was doing the testing, she shut the door and she locked it. She jumped on top of me, started making out with me, and wanted to have, you know. I go, oh, I'm not here for that. I'm here for this test. Okay? Even the head of the vestibular clinic that had just opened it up told me right in front of my mom, you know what you need? You need to get laid. You need somebody to ride you so hard you can't take it. That's going to straighten you out. Okay? Gets worse. Hold on. You guys are probably getting a real laugh from this, right? So the head of that vestibular clinic, she says to me, you need a brain angiogram. I said, what? You need a brain angiogram. You need an exploratory brain angiogram because I know you got something wrong with your brain. I said, oh, hell no. I am not doing an exploratory brain angiogram. Well, now, you know, we ordered you, we told you what care you need, and we ordered it. Now, if you go against it, well, then you don't want to get any better. So then they start heckling me, right? Well, this is interesting because they really didn't want me to have the exploratory brain angiogram for the reason they said. It was just to use me as a cash cow and hope I die if they can cut me up as parts and use me as a live specimen to experiment on. So I went there. I had that brain angiogram done. They keep giving me all this paperwork. They gave me like 5 different sheets of paper they wanted me to sign. Each one different. Each one was to be an organ donor. Then at the last moment before they strapped me down, they wanted me to sign one again. I said, what is it? She said, oh no, you don't have to look at it. I said, I am not signing anything else. I said, it's another organ donor paper. Oh, is it? She says. Well then, the guy does the brain angiogram real quick. And then he says, all right, students, come on in. We're all going to take turns on him putting in stents and shunts. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. First you were trying to get me to sign an organ donor list and cut me up for spare parts. And now you're wanting the students to come in and practice and putting stunts. And I said, get me the hell out of here. The doctor says, you're state property. We can do with you with whatever we want to do. If you would have died, we would have cut you up for parts. Nobody would ever be wise enough to figure out we did it. I yelled for help, and I got the hell out of there. What would you do? You'd sue. Now look at this. This is what's wrong with healthcare. You need to look into this and not let them get by with it. So I tried to sue over that. You know what I was told? It's a state-funded hospital. You can't sue a state-funded hospital. They can do whatever they want to do and they get away with it. Now, wait a minute. So I still needed health care. What am I going to do? I didn't have any money. Right? Because Mark ripped me off and left me broke. So here I am going back to that state-funded hospital, the University of Iowa. And if you don't like that, let's do a video debating this right in front of the public. Okay? Because I'm downright pissed. So I tried to sue him and I was told I couldn't. Well, then I went there some more, and here we go again. You got to do that Botox shot. I am not doing a Botox shot. Now, Lynn, we've been through this before. You got to do that Botox shot. Now, if you just do the Botox shot, you just get it, you're going to feel ill for a little while, and then it'll wear off, and we're all good. I said, why do you want me to do the Botox shot so bad? Well, don't worry about that. So here I go to the neurology department. And the neurologist has got a special vial labeled with my name on it. Okay? And they forced me into it. Yes, I said that. They forced me into it. They coerced me, and they gave me an ultimatum. That isn't right. What do you think happened when they did the Botox shot? I wonder what was in that Botox shot. Because he gave me that Botox shot, and I went into what they call anaphylactic shock. My head felt like it was going to explode. My heart felt like it was going to explode. My blood pressure shot up. All of a sudden, I was shaking and I could hardly walk. And the doctor says, you got to get out of here. I don't want any of my other patients to see you. He didn't call anybody to take me to the emergency room. Bystanders seen what was happening and they were trying to help me. Bystanders helped me to get to the ER. By the time I got to the ER said to me, now listen to this, we don't think you're going to live another 2 hours. It'll be a miracle. And my body started to break down, and I was choking on pink goo running out of my mouth. So I had to have my head over the side of the bed with a container that the pink goo was running into. I survived. And man, it was rough. But you know what happened? Giving me that Botox gave me Sjogren's disease. The Botox triggered it. Sjogren's is a life-ending disease that usually leads to cancer. It destroyed my lymphatic system. I have to constantly sip on water. Okay? I have to constantly put drops in my eyes. Right? It causes me so many nightmarish health problems. And again, I go and see a lawyer and I'm told, well, it's a state-funded hospital. You can't go after them. I said, but they gave me a life-ending disease. Well, that's tough. We don't even do. Just, better not go back there anymore. Then Obamacare started, right? So then we got to see different doctors. So I got away from the hospital, right? Which is a good thing, Obama, which was a good thing. And then what happened was we had new clinics that opened up because the funding was going away from the state-funded hospital to the other clinics. Now, there was doctors and practicing nurses that were crooked, sure, but there was some good ones. Well, I wound up with a bad one at first, and eventually I wound up with a good one. The bad one that I had, she kept on saying, now, I don't want you working and telling me you're not and sucking off the state, okay? You know what? She shouldn't have even been seeing people that were on Obamacare if she was like that. So then eventually I went and seen a registered practicing nurse, which I would normally say was not worth a hoot. But this one was just out of school, and she was planning on actually being a doctor. She was very smart, up on all the newest technology and the newest findings in science and the medical profession, right? I went to see her, and she says, well, I'm going to send you to a neurologist who specializes in migraine headaches. I'm sure he can figure out what's wrong with you. So I went to go see Dr. Risk in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Now, if you don't know who Dr. Risk is, his dad was world famous for discovering multiple sclerosis, okay? Now, this is interesting. I go to see Dr. Risk. He says, I don't care how long it takes, I'm going to figure out what's wrong with you. This day is yours. Okay. That's pretty interesting to meet a doctor like that. On the second visit, after looking over all my medical records, he said to me, he says, I think I know what's wrong with you. You're going to go get a blood test done, and we're going to see what the results are of that blood test, and if I'm right, then I'm not going to tell you what's wrong, but you're going to have to go back to the University of Iowa. I had the blood test done. The blood test was testing me to see if I had a neuromuscular disease. It was testing my CK levels. My CK levels were sky high. Now, I used to be really muscular and big when I was young. And then over time, I've been getting weaker and weaker and losing all that muscle. I was, and I was so huge, I could bench press so much, And he asked me, he says, what did you do the day before you came into my office? I said, I was tilling the garden. That's all you did? I said, yeah, I tilled the garden. Well, he says, your CK levels were so high that it shows that you have a neuromuscular disease. Right? Now, the blood test that he did went along with the tests that the University of Iowa had done since 1993, when I had seen them after I had a back and neck injury, when I was in an elevator and I let go and I went down with the elevator. Okay? My signals running through my body are low. Okay? So they should have known. They were negligent, or they purposely did not diagnose me. Now pay attention, Republicans and Democrats. This is what's wrong with the healthcare system. You're letting them get away with abusing people like me. Okay? They could have helped me, but instead you give them that getaway free card. Okay? So they sent it back to the University of Iowa. Now, the University of Iowa couldn't ignore it no more because Dr. Risk pointed it out. Hey, these tests, along with the blood tests, show that he's got a neuromuscular disease, but we don't know which one it is yet. So the next step was to do a muscle biopsy and a genetic test. And sure enough, I have Emery-Dreifuss muscular dystrophy, on top of the Sjogren's that they gave me after the Botox shot. Okay? So I'm sick all the time. I want to be active. I can still walk. Right? Someday I might be in a wheelchair because it's breaking down my nervous system. Right? But I can't be overly active because the CK levels get high and then it poisons me. Because over the years, I kept on going to the local hospital, and they would give me on fluids, and I'd feel better. You know why? Flushing out the system. That's why. Okay? So you need to fix the healthcare system. Now, the Democrats, listen to this very closely. Here's some mistakes that you're making, and I realize why you did them. You did them for political gain. You were working on writing off the bill for, people had to borrow for, their college loans, right? But what you need to do is make it so that people like me don't owe the state a dime over that health care. You know, that estate recovery? Because you trapped me. You trapped me, okay? Now the Republicans are at fault too. Okay, I'm switching back and forth. These hands here. Listen to this. So the Republicans are guilty of this too. We had Iowa Care before we had Iowa Health and Wellness. And the Republican for the farmers, Grassley, said, farmers, you need to get your kids on this Iowa Health Care and Wellness. They can get health care and you don't have to pay it back. Get your kids on it. Take advantage of it while you can. So they started doing that. Well, then it changed. Retroactively, it changed. So the farmers' kids started going and getting care, and then retroactively they decided that you owe for high utilizer fees plus the care. And you can't pay that money that you owe now. Oh, no, no, no. We gotta wait till the family farm comes up and they're gonna nab onto that. Grassley's responsible for that. A Republican, the one who was looking out for the farmers, right? And then somebody leaked on the internet a bunch of files from our Iowa government, right? That they had planned this all along. They had planned to use the health care to nab onto the family farms, generational family farms. They figured this was a great way to nab onto those and they could get that family farm. Isn't that bullshit? So what you need to do with health care is no protections for the state-funded hospitals. Get rid of that estate recovery, because listen to what that is. You trap us and we can't get out of it, right? You force us into the care we don't need. It's all a trap. Now let me say this again. And pay attention, everyone. Listen to what I was trying to do before Mark ripped me off and stole my intellectual work. Fund free clinics, fund shelters, right? I wasn't sure about funding MDA, okay? But the telethon was ending with Jerry Lewis. Okay, the reason I say I wasn't sure about funding MDA was I think MDA should find people a job, okay? Find people options for they have more opportunities and less barriers for a better life. And that's what I was trying to do, okay? The site was employed nothing but mostly disabled people, okay? Fund free clinics and shelters and make it so there's less barriers and more opportunities for people that are disabled. That makes sense. Why don't the Democrats take notice of what happened and help me expose what Mark did? Okay? So now we're going to get into that other part. Okay? You want to reform the Department of Justice and the FBI. Oh, you need to, because the FBI is crooked, right? That 9/11 pre-event I was involved with, forced into the cover-up, who do you think I was in contact with? The Federal Bureau of Investigation. I had death threats. Don't you tell anybody, because if you do, they're all going to die. And they did. People were dying left and right that I talked to because they thought I passed off information. And then the Federal Bureau of Investigation sent somebody to my home to sit down and talk to me, let me file a complaint over all the death threats and people dying. But the Federal Bureau of Investigation had an alternative reasoning why they came to my home. They knew not all of that proof got destroyed, and they wanted to know what happened to it. Well, co-workers divided it up and took it home. Why did they do that? Because they're trying to protect this country and its people. Right? So when the FBI showed up, I had that mound of evidence sitting on that table. And the FBI agent said to me, he says, I'm going to let you file the report. We're here, we're going to do that. I don't see it. But we wanted to know where it was at. And now we know. But I can't admit that it's there. I don't see it, therefore I'm not going against my duties. And then sometime after that, it all disappeared. When I wasn't home. Now, the FBI watched my house 24 hours a day. They monitored my phone. They monitored my internet. Right? Okay. So let's talk about reform of the Department of Justice. Right? I've been asking for help with Mark Zuckerberg since 2003. But now, wait a minute. That corrupt side of the government, they did make an offer to me. They said, Len, we don't want to help you expose what Mark did. We're not going to help you get involved with the court case at the Supreme Court. We're not going to do that. But Len, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take care of the situation. We're going to give Mark Zuckerberg, Mark Howitson, and Priscilla Chan the exact same treatment that we gave the 9/11 witnesses, quick and clean. It'll go away and we'll never ever have this discussion again, and don't you ever bring it back up. And there'll be something special coming to you. You were a patriot. Yeah, you were a patriot and you went along with it. Oh, I know you didn't like to, Lynn. And we might have forced you into it. But you're a patriot, remember that. I never felt so low. I never felt so low. And then you know what happened? Eddie Tipton came into my life. You know who Eddie Tipton is? Eddie Tipton is the guy that was working for the government, head of the lottery. He's the one that created the algorithm to pick the numbers. So Eddie Tipton sees me. Oh yeah, Eddie Tipton seen me. He gave me the numbers to win the lottery if I could become a multi-millionaire. And I'm supposed to just fade away and hide in the background. Did you hear that? You didn't know it could be rigged at any time, did you? But it didn't work out. Oh, I won. Oh yeah, multi-million dollars. I was really sick. And I went to go turn my ticket in or check on it to see if it won at the Hy-Vee in Marion, Iowa. And the lady at the desk, at the service desk, she was just nasty to me. And I said, lady, I'm in here to check my ticket. I'm really sick, you know. And she says, you can't check that ticket here. And I said, lady, I don't know what to do. I said, if I can't check it here, I mean, what am I going to do? I mean, you know, the ticket ain't going to do me no good, you know. And this guy, he grabs it out of my hand and he runs with it. Runs out of the store. And the lady says, ha 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 ha, you were a multi-millionaire. Oh, you were? Ha ha. I said, well, then somebody go get my ticket. It was a homeless guy living out of his car. But when I went outside and I seen him get in his car and he had all his possessions strapped on top of it, I was like, wow. I just don't know if I can do that. 2 days later, it was like 2 days later or so, they found a guy dead in a parking lot. Froze to death and his wife. Him and his wife froze to death, right? The ticket was cashed in. Somebody became a multi-millionaire off that ticket. Wasn't him. Okay? Now, you want my vote, right? You want my vote? I've been sending emails and videos to the Democratic Party, right? The White House, Kamala Harris, you know what? Talk to me. about, you know, the Department of Justice and the FBI and the healthcare. They avoid me. Oh, but no, wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's not exactly true. I got a phone call from the White House. Lynn, we want you to talk to a secure crisis line where you can talk about all that government stuff that nobody's supposed to know about. And we want you to lay off Mark Zuckerberg. And you need to quit exposing those national secrets online. Yeah, we saw what you were doing. You were trying to expose those national secrets to get attention, thinking you'd rile us up and we'd help you. Well, we ain't going to help you, and we want you to just talk to that crisis line, and that'll be it. What a load of shit. If that's what I can expect out of the Democratic Party, then you're absolutely freaking worthless, and here's my response to that. Fuck off! I've been trying to get help for years, and I figured, you know what? The Democrats are in, they're not going to do this to me. Instead, you do is you fuck me over like all the rest of them. You could send the FBI to my house. You're the President of the United States. You are the Vice President that was the Attorney General for California. You chose the Attorney General that we have now. You could get the Department of Justice off its ass, force the FBI to come to my house, file a report, start an investigation. The largest case of intellectual property theft and fraud in history, right? After Mark ripped me off and told everybody it was given to him, when the battle over the Facebook began, Mark Howitson, his friend and mentor lawyer, called me representing Mark. Lynn, we want you to give a statement that goes that's aligned with what Mark said, that the intellectual work was given to him. We want you to say that you gave him your intellectual works and all the rights to it, and as the author, you wanted to remain hidden, and you're going to explain to him that you want him to create a new creation history. Now, Lynn, if you don't do this, we don't ever want you to come forward. But if you don't do this, we're going to take recordings of you that Mark did from your house and from this very phone call, and we're going to create a recording and video that shows just that, and we're going to use it to settle the case, and we're going to win, and that's it. We'll never hear from you again. And at the very end of the phone call, Mark Zuckerberg was on there too, because we were arguing over this, and I said, oh, hell no, I never gave it to you, you just ripped me off. And then Mark says, well, you might still see something in the end, and the phone hangs up. When you become blacklisted from the government, like me, why do they blacklist people like me? Why? They don't want to knock you off, but they want to choke you, right? Limit you from anything any rights that you should have, till you eventually just have nothing and you just fade away. That's what they've done to me. But the Democratic Party, if you're not getting off your ass, you're helping them. You see? I'm paying that shit. So I tried to file for disability. Yeah, you know, that University of Iowa, they kind of screwed everything up too. But the government got involved in my disability, you know? And when I had my hearing, they got to the judge. Instead of talking about my disability, the judge talks about being a 9/11 pre-event witness. You went against them, so you ain't got no case. I threw everything in the trash. State your name and get out of here. That's what happened. I lost my disability. And then they played it out on purpose. You see, they use those government agencies, and I couldn't file again because I no longer have the work cards. Okay? Now, they blacklisted me. I'm sick, right? Makes it pretty hard to work, right? But I've tried to do different things, but If I don't pay into Social Security, I can never draw Social Security, right? I became a ghost in the system. The government has multiple sealed files on me that only the top intelligence can see. Did you find that interesting? Oh, and I forgot to mention that I used to do security for a company that melted down currency for the federal mint, and I turned down a position as security advisor for a foreign country, and the United States government wanted me to take the job, and I didn't want to. Don't ever tell the government no, or they'll make you pay. So here we go. I keep sending videos and emails. I think I probably have sent hundreds of emails by now. And the Democratic Party won't get off your ass. Prove to me that you're better than this, okay? The voting is going to start, and you're going to send somebody my way from the Democratic Party. Lynn, you got to get out there and vote. Your mom's got to get out there and vote. All your relatives, they got to get out there and vote too. And I'm going to say, you know what? I sent you all those emails and all those videos, and now you're coming to my house just demanding that you want my help, and what do I get? What do I get? Either way, I'm going to dwindle away and be gone, right? You know, having Sjogren's and muscular dystrophy costs an enormous amount in medical care. But I can't get it. I get limited care through the state, right? Through this Iowa Wellness Plan. And here we go again. Listen to this, right? So the Iowa Wellness Plan, what is it? It's not Medicaid. It's supposed to be Medicaid expansion. But now, they shouldn't force it on you and expect you to pay for it, right? Later, your state, because now that wouldn't be very lawful now, would it? Okay, but the Republicans stripped it. So you get limited care, but you don't get the same care as people that are on Medicaid. You get a scaled down version of it, okay? So one of the problems with Sjogren's is that you can't create saliva anymore because your lymphatic system is gone, right? So it causes your teeth to rot. I had great teeth until I got Sjogren's, right? So I go to the dentist, you know, and my teeth are crumbling because of the dry mouth, right? And then the dentist here, he doesn't pull teeth, you know. So when a tooth crumbles, I got to go somewhere. Now, what the state of Iowa has done is I have Delta Dental Insurance through that Iowa Wellness Plan, right? We pick out our own insurance. But yet, they stripped it down so much that it costs the dentist money to see me, and he should be making money, so therefore they won't see me. So then what happens? You're left with either, well, suffering and not getting any care, or go back to the University of Iowa, where you get experimented on, right? You see the problem? This is what they did with that. Now, this is interesting. I've been trying my best to stay away from the University of Iowa. Now, since I got diagnosed with the muscular dystrophy, I have to admit, I've never been treated so well by the neurology department. Now, because another doctor pointed out what you did wrong, I've been trying to stay away from the University of Iowa as much as I can, okay? Now, when I say the University of Iowa is guilty of using us as a cash cow, abusing us and getting away with it, right? And experimenting on us, the University of Iowa, and they hear this, are probably saying, well, we're going to force him to take that video off the internet and blasphemy. He shouldn't be saying that, right? He ain't got no proof. Oh, wait 1 minute here. You know what happened after I quit going to the University of Iowa? This is interesting. I got a letter from the CDC, the Center of Disease Control, right? Why would I get a letter from the Center of the Disease Control? You know what the letter was for? Lynn, we would like to know how your condition has evolved. Would you please tell us how it evolved and rate how bad it's getting? We would sure would like to know. And Lynn, we know you could use a little bit of something because times are hard. So I'll tell you what. If you tell us how your conditions have worsened and evolved, I'll give you $20. How's that? You can spend it any way you want to. So I got a letter in the mail from the CDC. Offer me $20 if I let them know how my conditions have evolved. Now, isn't that interesting? Very interesting.